What's going on, everybody? This is Stevan and I'm here today with a really fun video, an exciting video. Today I'm going to talk about the NCAA wrestling video game. And if this thing ever came to fruition, if this thing actually came to life, how amazing that'd be. And I'm going to get into some of the logistics here in a minute, but make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, like the video, and turn your notification bells on, because this one's going to be awesome. And don't forget the ONEV giveaway, baby. Last couple days, the 1-year anniversary of my YouTube channel, we're giving away the black ONEV hoodie. All you gotta do is subscribe to the YouTube, follow me on Instagram, follow onev.world. Links are in description. Let's go. All right, so we're here today to talk about something that I dreamt about ever since I was a little kid. And no, I'm not talking about becoming a world champion or an Olympic champion. I'm talking about having a wrestling video game. And why that's so cool is because I feel like we've all played games like, you know, NCAA football, NFL, like Madden, FIFA, 2K, and now UFC, and so it just gets you to think, after being able to play a game like UFC, how would a wrestling game function, and would that even be a thing that would work? And my answer is yes, I do think it would work. Is that possible to have? Yeah, I do, because there's a few things behind that. You know, first of all, the mechanics of wrestling aren't too crazy compared to a game like UFC. Obviously, figuring out being able to, the neutral part, I think would be the easiest really for them to nail and get down right if this would actually be a thing. Where technology is moving forward, I definitely could see this being a game for PS5 and Xbox. You know, the neutral side of things would be very simple, I think, comparatively, especially with takedowns, you know, throws, and also even scrambling on the mat, like someone getting to a leg and being able to finish using kind of like, you know, your stick to maneuver, getting the takedown, hitting buttons, combinations to be able to fire off attacks. And then you know, I think the real thing would be, you know, top and bottom, making sure that wasn't too overpowered, especially in an NCAA video game, because, you know, I've seen graphics before. I've seen things before of like pictures of them wrestling and stuff like that, and just how that would even work. Because I think, you know, the top and bottom could be the part that they'd have to really get right. I think takedowns wouldn't be too hard. It would just be the mat wrestling they'd have to nail. So first and foremost is like, how would the game even look and be structured from a, you know, wrestler's perspective of like what would be. I think wrestlers would, you know, you could kind of do like a 1-versus-1 match. You could just go into like a kickoff mode and almost like just kind of a wrestling match where, you know, the periods would kind of go, I don't know, maybe at 3-2-2 might be, you could just probably do a regular length match, just like because it's not too long. It would just be a 7-minute game, and then you could just kind of go where you pick, maybe going through, because we're talking about NCAAs here, you could just go stay in the weight class where it's 25, 33, 41, and if you want, you can only bump up or down one weight class or two, so that way you could kind of have like a super match. That way you're not having like a Spencer Lee versus like a Gable Stevenson going 25 all the way up to 285. You know, you're kind of keeping it in the brackets and doing that for the kickoff. And then also, I think really what's important is what we would look at is like the attributes. You know, if you ever see kind of like FIFA Ultimate Team, kind of like the card where there's like, you know, it has like the shot, the pace, the shot, the dribbling, physical, defense. Yeah, it basically has all the stats that are on the list, and you could kind of include that in wrestling. And I think the main things in wrestling you'd probably have, generally speaking, it would have attack, it would have defense, it would have speed, strength, top, and bottom. You know, you'd have to, those would be your main 6 qualities and traits. And obviously under attack would be like leg attacks, would be front headlock or arm drag, that might be finishing, would be a sub tier. Same defense would be just like scrambling abilities, just being able to score from there, being able to moving on like speed, just like how quick they can get to the leg, physical, how strong your opponent is, what ties they use, and what they're better at, underhook, collar tie, whatever. And then like top and bottom, I feel like would have to be individually, especially in folk style, where freestyle would be a little different because of like the parterre, but at folk style would be, you know, you'd have to have a top tier and then you have to have a bottom tier, because just how good someone is at escapes, you know, being able to get off bottom, and same with top, someone who's good at tilts, someone who's good at leg riding. You kind of be able to specify there and having like an overall rank where maybe like 99 might be a little bit too high to set the bar, but you could kind of maybe like the highest ranked guy in the game would be like a 94 or 93, depending on if they're a returning national champ, multiple time NCAA champ, and like where they'd rank. So let me know in the comments too where they'd rank, or where you guys would put some, like who the highest wrestler would be, you know, where you'd put a guy like Carter Starachi, where you put a guy like Aaron Brooks. And then, you know, have a guy like a 1-time NCAA champ like Caleb Henson from VTAC, or how you could kind of like gauge the champs versus like, or Keegan O'Toole versus like some guys who maybe are like in the hunt for their first title. That would be really cool. Now going into like the game modes and like how you could actually play the game, I think you definitely would have like a wrestle tab first, which would kind of just be like your offline, online quick match where you're just picking up one guy and you're kind of filtering through just like how UFC does, where you pick your fighter, pick your wrestler, and then you got to go and choose your settings and your difficulty if you're playing against the computer, playing online, or just against your friend. Then I think the next thing is duel. I think the dual meet mode would be crazy because you could just go in and choose, you know, Michigan versus Ohio State, Iowa versus Oklahoma State, Penn State versus Nebraska, or, you know, make a huge duel out of it where you're basically having these huge matchups go at it and have a dual meet where you're with your friends and you're sitting down, you're starting from 25, 33, 41, all the way up to heavyweight, and you're going off duels and see who wins the duel. I think that would be a crazy mode, a crazy thing with your friends to sit down and do, just to have a dual meet, and, you know, choosing the locations would be crazy. What do you guys think about a dual meet mode? Also, the next mode you could have is a dynasty, where you kind of maybe this is a single player mode where you basically sit down and you're the coach and you choose a team and you kind of want to focus on building your team up. Maybe, I don't know if there's like a full, like a mode where you can actually improve your players by competing them or sending them to tournaments and stuff like that, but that could kind of just be a certain mode, dynasty, where you're kind of building, you're worrying about recruiting, you're worrying about, you know, you're trying to get with NIL money now, there you have like a certain budget for scholarships per team. You also have the transfer portal to take into account, so you've got different players or different wrestlers that are kind of going off of the, you know, you actually going off like the 5th years. You can see who's coming in, who's taking an extra year, and the game kind of sims some stuff for you. I think that could be really cool. Then there'd be tournament mode, where you could just enter a tournament with like one wrestler, where you would just kind of go in as a wrestler. You could enter the Midlands, you go into, you know, the Southern Scuffle or like the Cliff Keenan Invitational, maybe as a wrestler or a team. I don't know, it would be pretty cool. And then you could also just do a conference tournament like Big Tens or EIWAs, Big 12s, Pac 12s, or, you know, go into the NCAA tournament and wrestle. I think that would be awesome, having a tournament mode, and your friends could all enter as different wrestlers, so they have their matches, the bracket progresses in that weight class, and then you kind of meet up in the, you know, where your friends are when it's time to, when it's time to pass the controller. I think that would be crazy. Or like a March Madness mode, where it's basically just like you're going in with one team and you're bringing them to the NCAA tournament, and you wrestle all 10 guys and see how far you can make it with your team. I think a March Madness mode would be pretty cool. And last, a little practice mode, just to get better. You go into your practice room, you can kind of drill, you can kind of get good at getting your takedowns that you do, depending on which wrestlers have good different skills. You know, wrestlers with a good, you know, you like shooting a sweep single or high crotch, you kind of practice on getting good at the shots, especially depending on wrestlers. Or defense, if you like a defensive wrestler, you can bring them into the practice, and has a full, wherever college they're at, it could kind of do, like if you want a Michigan wrestler, if you want to choose me, for example, you know, I got good offense, you want to go and drill with Stevan, you can go take me into Bana and go and drill in the wrestling room. He has like the full animations of the facility, which is world-class facility there, so you can kind of drill and see how that goes. So I think this could be a really cool idea with NCAA wrestling and just kind of doing it. I've seen tons of graphics, I've seen people talk about this and have this discussion. I want to see this happen. I want to see people make this. I think it'd be awesome. So let me know what you guys think. I'm also going to try to do a video talking about a UWW game, an Olympic wrestling or World Championship wrestling video game next, and talk about how that would look. So let me know in the comments what you guys think, because I want to hear your opinions. So yeah, that's it, baby. Let's go. World champs in everything we do.